Hello everybody, it's DLU here. It's been a while, hasn't it? Some of you are probably wondering, well, first off, why I haven't published any videos recently, but more importantly, why I haven't brought out a video discussing DLU's crash test. The simple reason for that is that whilst it's cool for all of the testers, the vast majority of people viewing this channel aren't testers, and so the fact that it's happening is less important news. Normally, I'd still have covered it, but life outside LU has been taking priority recently. So for any of you wanting to watch the crash test, I recommend the channel DLU Productions. Say hi from me in the comment sections, as he's posted gameplay videos of both winter testing and the crash test since he joined DLU. Once the crash testing is properly over, however, I'll be posting a video explaining where DLU is at as of the end of the crash testing, since I think that the progress it manages to make will interest people far more than just the fact that it was happening. Anyway, with that out of the way, onto the main topic of today's video. One which makes me a little happy and honestly a little sad, but most definitely erring on the side of happy, and which definitely qualifies as important and exciting no matter where you stand on its happiness or sadness. So, what is this amazing news? The user known as Wincent01 has joined DLU. For those of you who know him, this probably comes as something of a shock, and for those of you who don't, it probably comes as something of a shock that I'm making a video about this. People have come and gone from DLU before without me making a video discussing it. What's different? So, what's all this about? Well, first off, let's just explain who Wincent is. I probably first properly met Wincent when he joined the LUCH as a mod, although he'd been in the community for far longer than I had by that point, we just hadn't ever really interacted much. Along with Trotsky, also known as the Fire Warden for those of you who know the DLU forums, and Jumbo Gauge, one of the most active people in publishing videos of DLU's tests, at least early on. I don't know if he's still publishing them to YouTube, he definitely still streams them on Twitch. And pretty much since then, he's been a voice advocating an even playing field for all servers in a community which, due to its origins, has sadly always favoured certain projects more than others. Since that time, he began to work with other long-time community members, Knight of Faith and CDM Pants, on the sadly deceased game called Fragments of Crooks, which, for those interested, actually partially explains, along with my complete misunderstanding of what I guess would be termed punk, the Shattered Core video on my channel. Now people are going to be thinking the Shattered Core video is me trying to do punk. So I suppose I guess it's still entirely unexplained as to what that is. Have fun continuing to guess, I guess. Before moving on to his most known contributions to the community, Uchu development. I've discussed Uchu in the past on this channel. I think the video where I first explained it in detail was called Progress, but basically it was an open source project created by the user Yui/Wui, depending on where you see them writing it, and heavily developed by Wincent. What set Uchu apart, however, was the reaction it earned from the community as a whole. Typically, people tend to look down on open source projects just as a default, not really expecting them to go anywhere, or at the very least this was the case back when Uchu started. But Uchu really bucked this trend, as Wincent added feature after feature to it in conjunction with his Infected Rose library for working with LEGO Universe bathrooms. In fact, Uchu is probably the sole reason that Pikachu Universe, as it was then known and will forever be known in my head, although now Project Garmadon, the most recent example of an open source project, hasn't been completely laughed off the stage by the community. Because, come on, it called itself Pikachu Universe to begin with. In years gone by, a completed server could have called itself Pikachu Universe and would still have been laughed off the stage. In other words, Uchu was pretty revolutionary in the way it changed people's perception of open source servers, and in collaboration with DLU, it became the first project to implement both movement and attack AI for any enemies other than stronglings. In fact, it implemented it for virtually every enemy, although in fairness, not without a fair amount of the sort of standard thing you see from any server, which is floating enemies that snipe you and spawn kill you. Wincent really capitalised on the success of Uchu though, and the fact that he was probably one of the most important developers at this stage by producing a sadly criminally underpublicised video called My Views on the LEGO Universe Community, when he discussed his reasons for working on an open rather than closed source project and the ways in which he felt the way in which the structure of the community was hindering the progress across all of the projects. It is still such a pertinent video today, and I would highly recommend you check it out. His channel is linked in the description of all of my videos and should be on my channel page too. In general, Wincent has been a firm believer in open source projects, or where people have taken the decision to make a project closed source, the full sharing of information between those projects. And this is why I think it will surprise many people who know him that he joined DLU, a closed source server which we have both criticised at times for being unnecessarily secretive. So why this particular move? Well, obviously I'm not Wincent, but in the past I've drawn parallels between what I've experienced as someone who's worked alone on a professional grade physics research project for the past 3 years without the support of the university or group, and a LEGO universe development. And in the past, the devs have told me that drawing those lines, I've gone it pretty much right for my analogies. Although, check the comment section, see if Winston has corrected me, and even if he hasn't, take these as my guesses, not as his actual feelings on the matter. So, yeah, just here goes. Working on your own project basically just isn't hugely fun. Yui hasn't been an active developer for a long time, so Uchu development was pretty much entirely down to Wincent. It was something he'd spent hours working on, but about which I suspect he couldn't really talk to many people. No one else was working on the same code as him, so on a good day there'd be no one with whom to celebrate, and on a bad day no one with whom to commiserate. Obviously, family and friends will typically try to help and try to listen, but it can be really hard for even the most well-intentioned listeners to care when everything seems so abstract, without an explicit understanding of the code. So I expect that's the main reason for this move to DLU. It's going to provide a group of people who are similarly invested in the same code base as him, to whom he can talk and ask for help if he has a problem, and from whom he'll receive thanks when he helps them or implements a new feature, rather than his previous lot, which was people being disappointed every time they encountered a bug, or complaining when they couldn't progress past Epsilon handing them a sword. However nicely it's framed, you can always tell when you failed to meet someone's expectations, and that's never a nice feeling. So yeah, that's why I'm sad. My joint favourite project, alongside LCDRU, will no longer be receiving updates. And that is quite sad. However, I mentioned this wasn't just a bad thing, it wasn't just something I'm sad about, and so far all I've mentioned is Uchu dying. So where's the silver lining coming? Well, Wincent didn't join DLU because his opinions on open source servers changed, or because he suddenly decided secrecy was the way to go. No, he joined DLU because he needed to put himself and his own well-being and enjoyment of the community before the particular project he was working on. DLU have basically just broken down their gates to allow in a Trojan horse. I mean, I'm over-dramatising it so much. No matter how much he may disagree with DLU on a particular account, he is not the sort of person who would just release stuff without their permission. But Wincent being a part of DLU gives me a lot of hope for DLU sharing more in the future. He'll still document just as diligently as ever anything new that he finds in the course of researching the game for DLU's development, and will be perfectly placed as a voice for openness in DLU, as someone who's spent a long time interacting with DLU from the outside and knows what that's like. And so, whilst Uchu may well die at this point, no longer being actively updated, well, it didn't die in vain. A more open DLU would be amazing and would benefit everyone in the community. Wincent will still be researching, same as always, and publishing the information for the community. As of the current crash test, I'd place DLU as catching up to Uchu in terms of progress, but with each specialising in different areas, he's bringing a lot of knowledge and experience to the table with DLU. In other words, DLU has taken on someone who has been one of the most active developers in the past year or so hopefully they'll see increased progress. Meanwhile, Uchu's left behind a community which is far more tolerant of open source projects, as well as a lot of public information that Wincent will only be adding to over time. So whilst it's going to leave a void in activity, it has left room for a new project to follow in its wake, the aforementioned Project Garmadon, set up by Aaron and also developed by Encroy. So, in conclusion, the future looks bright. I've got hopes for a more active and more open DLU, as well as more help for the newest kid on the block, Project Garmadon. In terms of my personal ranking of projects, in terms of the progress they've made on their most recent publicly demonstrated build, I had it ranked LCDRU, then DLU catching up with Uchu in this recent testing. Potentially, this could mean that, for the first time since LCDRU released, it could end up being overtaken by DLU in terms of game progression, which would be a huge milestone for DLU. Although I should add that LCDR has been working on open source backend content for the community as a whole to use for a while now, so it's not like LCDRU is lacking progress, it's just not progress along the quest chain. And with that, all that remains for me to say is thank you to Wincent for everything he's done in Uchu. I know I speak for a huge amount of the community when I say we really appreciate everything he did with that, both giving us something to play and paving the way for future projects. And that we wish him and DLU the best of luck moving forward. May the code be ever haunted in their favour. As usual, subscribe to the developer channels in the description and show them your support. They're the ones who make all of this possible, and they're the ones who deserve your amazing support far, far more than I do. With that, I've been DLU. Thank you for listening, and I will see you around.